Chimdi stood over his father's grave, the earth still fresh and damp. His father, a man of wisdom and strength, had been the pillar of their small village in southeastern Nigeria. With his untimely death, Chimdi felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, a burden he had never prepared for. His mother wept beside him, her sorrow as deep as the earth beneath them. The family's future was uncertain, and their small farm could no longer support them. There was no money for school, no prospects for a stable job, and the community was already feeling the effects of their loss. Chimdi's thoughts wandered to the conversations his father had with him, speaking of entrepreneurship and the Igbo system of apprenticeship. It was a path his father had tried to explain but one Chimdi had never truly understood. Now, it was all he had left, an old tradition, a way to survive. His father had spoken of wealth not only as material possessions but also as an investment in relationships, hard work, and accountability. He could hear his father's voice echoing in his mind, "In this world, Chimdi, trust is the greatest currency you can own." Chimdi decided that he would follow his father's advice and learn the ways of business through the apprenticeship system, no matter how difficult it might be. A few weeks after the funeral, Chimdi met with Nwosu, a successful trader in the village. Nwosu had been a friend of his father's and had often spoken of the Igbo apprenticeship model, where a young person would work for a master in exchange for skill building, food, and shelter. Nwosu was known to have made a fortune in the cocoa business, and his offer was one of the few opportunities available to Chimdi. "You have the spirit of your father," Nwosu said as they sat by his shop, the sound of bustling activity surrounding them. "Your father always spoke highly of you. I believe you have the potential to succeed if you trust the process. But you must commit fully. An apprenticeship is no easy task, it takes dedication, patience, and most importantly, hard work." Chimdi nodded solemnly. The idea of becoming an apprentice seemed daunting, but it was the only hope for his family. Nwosu's words stuck with Chimdi as he returned home. It was a gamble, but it felt like the only chance for a future beyond the poverty and struggle that had defined his life thus far. The apprenticeship would not be easy, he would have to learn the ways of business, build relationships, and survive under the strict discipline of his master. But the reward, if he succeeded, would be freedom. The apprenticeship began in earnest the following month. Chimdi was sent to Nwosu's trade store, where he was to learn everything about the cocoa business. From early mornings to late nights, he learned how to handle the cocoa beans, deal with buyers, and maintain the relationships that were the foundation of Nwosu's success. But the work was grueling. There were no shortcuts, no easy days. He often felt the pull of exhaustion, his body sore from long hours spent sorting through raw materials, but he knew that there was no turning back. The hardest part for Chimdi was the strict discipline. Nwosu was a man of few words, and every task was performed with precision. One evening, after a long day of work, Chimdi made a mistake and was reprimanded harshly. "You are not here to make mistakes," Nwosu had said sternly. "Your family is counting on you. Each decision you make affects more than just you." The words stung, but they motivated Chimdi to work harder. Over time, he began to understand that this system wasn't just about learning a trade, it was about developing character and building trust with others. As the first season of his apprenticeship passed, Chimdi started to see the value in the process. He became more efficient, learned to negotiate with customers, and built a network of suppliers. But the true lesson was in learning to manage his expectations and persevere through adversity. He wasn't just working to make money, he was working to transform his life and the life of his family. With each passing day, he felt a sense of empowerment that had been absent before. By the end of the second season, Chimdi had begun to gain some level of respect in Nwosu's trade. His skills were improving, and he was slowly earning the trust of the other workers. However, challenges continued to test his resolve. A rival trader, Obi, sought to undercut Nwosu's business, offering better deals to customers and suppliers. Obi's smooth talk and promises of fast wealth were tempting, and some of the workers, including a few who had worked with Chimdi, began to question Nwosu's methods. One evening, Obi approached Chimdi with an offer. "You've been working hard," Obi said with a sly grin. "If you join me, I can guarantee you more money and less work. You're wasting your time here, following Nwosu's old-fashioned ways. You need to think about your future, not just his." Chimdi's heart raced. The temptation to break away from Nwosu and chase after immediate success was strong. But as he stood there, he remembered his father's words. Trust is the greatest currency you can own. He knew that he couldn't betray the system that had already begun to shape him into something better. He refused Obi's offer, but the internal battle had shaken his confidence. The next few weeks were difficult. Some of Nwosu's workers, disillusioned by the offers from Obi, began to leave. But Chimdi stayed, determined to see the process through. He realized that the apprenticeship system was not just about acquiring skills, it was about learning to navigate the complexities of life and business, where loyalty, trust, and patience were often tested. The third season brought new challenges and opportunities. Nwosu, recognizing Chimdi's dedication, began to take him under his wing more directly. He shared his knowledge of the wider world, introducing Chimdi to other traders, local bankers, and influential people who could help expand his business. Nwosu explained the importance of strategic partnerships, of leveraging relationships for mutual benefit. One evening, as they sat by the fire after a long day of work, Nwosu told Chimdi, "True success is not just about what you know, but who you know and how well you treat them. People remember kindness, honesty, and respect. Build your network on these principles, and you will never lack for opportunity." Chimdi took these words to heart. He began to see the value in mentorship, not just as a student, but as someone who could offer the same guidance to others in the future. He began mentoring younger apprentices, teaching them the skills he had learned, and creating a ripple effect that spread through the village. This new role gave Chimdi a sense of purpose beyond his own survival. The lessons of mentorship also deepened Chimdi's understanding of the apprenticeship system. It wasn't just about the transfer of skills, it was about the relationships that grew out of the process, and how they contributed to the collective success of the community. As Chimdi entered his fourth season, he began to see the fruits of his labor. Nwosu's business was thriving, and Chimdi was given more responsibility. He was now managing some of the major transactions, handling both buyers and suppliers, and even making strategic decisions. His ability to assess situations, negotiate, and manage finances had improved significantly. He had become a trusted figure in the business, and Nwosu often relied on his judgment. With this new responsibility came a broader view of the world beyond the village. Chimdi began to travel to nearby towns to expand Nwosu's trade network, meeting with potential partners and clients. These travels opened his eyes to the larger economy that existed outside his village. The realization that there was so much more to the world than what he had known was both exhilarating and intimidating. He could see now how the apprenticeship system had prepared him for these opportunities, equipping him with not just practical skills but also the ability to navigate complex relationships. Chimdi's confidence grew as he realized that his future was no longer uncertain. He had learned how to build a business, how to manage risks, and most importantly, how to create opportunities for himself and others. He was becoming a man who could stand on his own, no longer defined by the poverty of his past. The fifth season brought with it a test of character. A devastating flood hit the region, destroying much of the cocoa crop and damaging Nwosu's store. The village, already struggling, was hit hard. Chimdi saw the devastation in his mentor's eyes, a look of despair he had never seen before. Nwosu had worked hard for years to build his business, and now it was all at risk. The flood had wiped out months of progress in a matter of days. But Chimdi did not panic. Instead, he took charge. He organized the workers, sourced new supplies from neighboring villages, and made sure that the trade continued. He drew on the lessons he had learned over the past years, about trust, perseverance, and the power of community. It was not just Nwosu's business at stake, it was the livelihoods of everyone who depended on it. In the midst of the crisis, Chimdi realized the true value of the apprenticeship system. It had prepared him not just for success, but for failure, and taught him how to rise above adversity. With hard work and the support of the community, they rebuilt the business, stronger than before. As the business recovered from the flood, Chimdi found himself at another crossroads. A wealthy merchant from the neighboring town of Enugu approached him with an enticing offer. The merchant, Udo, had been impressed with Chimdi's management during the crisis and offered him a position with a significantly higher income and fewer responsibilities. The offer was tempting, especially since it promised immediate financial relief for Chimdi's struggling family. However, accepting it would mean leaving Nwosu's apprenticeship before completing the agreed term. Udo's offer planted doubt in Chimdi's heart. He consulted his mother, who listened carefully as he shared his dilemma. "My son," she said, "your father always believed in the value of finishing what you start. Wealth gained without loyalty and integrity is fleeting. Think carefully about the kind of man you want to be." Her words stayed with him. Chimdi realized that leaving Nwosu would not only betray the trust his mentor had placed in him but also undermine the principles of the apprenticeship system. With renewed resolve, he declined Udo's offer, choosing to honor his commitment. Though the decision was difficult, it strengthened his relationship with Nwosu, who acknowledged Chimdi's loyalty with newfound respect. By the 6th season, Chimdi's apprenticeship was nearing its end. Nwosu began to prepare him for the final phase, setting up his own business. As was tradition, Nwosu gathered the elders of the community and other traders to formally acknowledge Chimdi's graduation from the apprenticeship system. During this ceremony, known as the Igbo Boy, Nwosu pledged to provide Chimdi with the resources to start his venture, a small sum of money, initial inventory, and access to his network of suppliers and buyers. Though grateful for the support, Chimdi felt a surge of apprehension. The responsibility of running his own business felt overwhelming, and the fear of failure loomed large. But he remembered the lessons he had learned over the years, the importance of perseverance, the value of relationships, and the power of trust. With Nwosu's guidance, Chimdi opened his own trade store in the village, focusing on palm oil and cocoa. The first few months were challenging as he navigated the demands of being an independent trader. However, his hard work, coupled with the reputation he had built during his apprenticeship, attracted customers and partners. Slowly but steadily, his business began to thrive. As Chimdi's business flourished, he turned his attention to the community that had supported him. He began to mentor younger boys in the village, offering them the same opportunities he had received. He took on apprentices of his own, teaching them the skills and values he had learned under Nwosu. One of his apprentices, a shy but hard-working boy named Obinna, reminded Chimdi of himself when he first started. Chimdi invested time and energy into mentoring Obinna, teaching him not only the trade but also the importance of integrity and perseverance. "Your success," Chimdi often told him, "will not be measured by what you gain, but by how many lives you uplift." Chimdi's efforts to give back extended beyond his business. He worked with the village elders to establish a community fund to support families during times of crisis. This fund, financed partly by Chimdi's profits, became a safety net for the village, ensuring that no family would face the kind of hardship his had endured after his father's death. By the 7th season, Chimdi's journey had come full circle. His business was thriving, his apprentices were excelling, and his family's fortunes had improved dramatically. Yet, he remained humble, always mindful of the lessons that had brought him to this point. One day, Nwosu visited Chimdi's store, now one of the largest in the village. The mentor and apprentice shared a moment of quiet reflection. "You have made me proud, Chimdi," Nwosu said. "But more importantly, you have honored your father's legacy and uplifted this community." Chimdi smiled, his heart full of gratitude. He realized that the true measure of freedom was not just the ability to escape poverty but the power to create opportunities for others. He had learned that wealth was not an end in itself but a means to build a better future for his family and community. The final chapter of Chimdi's journey was marked by celebration. The village organized a grand festival to honor his achievements, recognizing him as a symbol of resilience and success. During the festivities, Chimdi addressed the crowd, his voice steady but filled with emotion. 7 seasons ago, I stood before my father's grave with nothing but a sense of loss and responsibility. Today, I stand here, not as a man who succeeded alone, but as one who was lifted by the strength of community, the wisdom of a mentor, and the grace of God. Let us remember that our true wealth lies in our ability to support one another. The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing across the village. For Chimdi, this moment was not the end but the beginning of a new chapter, one where he would continue to build, mentor, and inspire. 7 seasons had transformed him from a boy weighed down by hardship into a man who had found freedom through trust, hard work, and the enduring bonds of community.